I say, stop, Muslims, let me ask you something. Is Jesus more than a prophet? They said, no, he's nothing more than a prophet. I say, hold on a minute. Is he the greatest of all prophets? He said, no, Muhammad is the greatest. I said, well, let's see if your Quran agrees. And I'm going to take him to 4 references. I want you to do the same thing right now. And those who are watching, look at 4 references in the Quran. I'm going to take you to 4 references and ask the question, who is the greater, Muhammad or Jesus? Just starting with the Quran.
Okay.
Let's do that right now.
Yes, please.
Let's start with Surah 19, Ayah 20. Surah 19, Ayah 20 says very clearly that Jesus was born of a virgin. And that's why every Muslim believes that Mary, the Virgin Mary, bore Jesus. There's not a Muslim that disbelieves that because they have to argue with their own Quran. Was Muhammad born of a virgin?
No.
No. Was Muhammad born miraculously?
No.
So there's nothing special about Muhammad's birth. But Jesus had a special birth.
Yes.
And why should he be born of a virgin? See, Muslims don't know why. Every Muslim I asked this question, I said, why specifically should he be born of a virgin? They don't know because the Quran doesn't tell them. So what are Muslims supposed to do when they don't know something? Surah 10, Ayah 94. Surah 21, Ayah 7 says, if you have any question, go to the people of the book. They're to come to us. Surah 29, Ayah 46. Don't even argue with the Christians. Oh, I love that one. That's a great one. I use at Speaker's Corner every Sunday. Don't even argue with us. You're to come and ask us questions. Surah 4, Ayah 136. All Muslims, go to those scriptures God has given to you from beforehand, the Tawrat and the Injil. They'll go to the Torah, they come to the Injil. They're to come to us. Those are our books. And they're to ask us. So I say, let me tell you why Jesus had to be born of a virgin. You need to go back to Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14. Isaiah was very clear. Isaiah gives us the answer. And Isaiah says, for this shall be a sign. Do you hear that, Muslims? Wake up. This shall be a sign. A virgin shall conceive and bear a son. Not a daughter, but a son. That's very important. And he shall be called Emmanuel, God with us.
That's right.
So this son is someone special. Why? Because we know that virgins don't conceive. At least not in my world. Maybe in Australia they do, but I know everywhere else in the world they do not conceive boys or girls. Virgins, that's why we call them that, because they have not had sexual intercourse. Therefore, obviously, how could they conceive unless something miraculous is happening? So when that happens, Isaiah is saying, wake up. This is the sign. Muslims, you need to wake up. That's why it's so important that it's in there in Surah 19, Ayah 20. They don't know the answer. We know the answer. This is to basically to wake them up and say something special is happening here. This child is God with us. Emmanuel. That's the first thing. Then go to Surah 3, Ayah 46. In Surah 3, Ayah 46, Jesus is an infant, and he speaks from the cradle and basically says what he's doing, why he's there. Can an infant speak?
No.
Do you know of any infants that speak?
No.
Impossible. Yet Jesus is able to speak. Did Muhammad speak from the cradle?
No.
Absolutely not. Muhammad was just like you and me. He made some noises like you and I make noises. You have children, you know what it's like.
That's
but
right.
You cannot speak full sentences. Jesus was able to speak from the cradle. So immediately you see that Jesus not only had a birth that's greater than Muhammad's, he also has an infancy that's greater than Muhammad's. 3 verses later, verse 49, chapter 3, verse 49, it says that Jesus as a child takes some clay, makes it fashions them into looking like birds, then he blows on them and they fly up into the air.
Wow,
so he creates out of nothing. Could Muhammad do that?
No.
Absolutely not. It says right there, it says that he was able to give sight to the blind. Could Muhammad give sight to the blinds?
No.
It says that he was able to heal the sick. Could Muhammad heal the sick?
No.
And then it says he was able to resuscitate the dead.
Wow.
Could Muhammad resuscitate anybody?
No.
No, he usually killed them.
Yeah, that's
just
right.
the opposite. So here are 4 things that Jesus can do that Muhammad cannot in one verse. Creating out of nothing, giving sight to the blind, healing the sick, and basically resuscitating the dead. Could Muhammad do any of that? Absolutely not. In all categories, Jesus is greater, according to the Quran. Now, that's just 6 things I've shown you. I've got the best one coming next. And here's the real kicker. We started with Surah 19. We're going to end with Surah 19. Okay. Come to Surah 19, Ayah 19, verse 19. And look and see what the angel Gabriel says about Jesus to Mary, his mother. I'm going to give you a righteous son. He is the righteous prophet. Here's the question. What does righteous mean?
Without sin.
That's right. Sinless. Perfect. Holy. Because who can be sinless but God himself? So here is a reference in the Quran that puts Jesus uniquely from everybody else. There is nobody who is sinless but Jesus. Because in the Quran, it's very clear, every prophet sins. Did you know that?
No.
How about Muhammad? Did Muhammad sin?
Yeah, he was a sinner. Yeah.
Does it say so in the Quran?
I'm not sure actually.
Actually, it does. Three
does?
times it says that he
Really?
sins. Muslims have come back. They don't know how to answer this. I've asked this over and over again. Come on, Muslims. Did Muhammad sin? No, he did not sin. Does the Quran agree with it? Yes, it does. Can you show me a verse? Where does it say he was sinless? Nowhere. In fact, it says over and over again, Muhammad, you must ask forgiveness for your sin. You must ask forgiveness for your sin.
Really?
Muslims say, no, well, that happened before he was a prophet. So I say, go back to Surah 48, Ayah 2. Go back to Surah 48, Ayah 2. It's very clear. Muhammad says, oh, ask forgiveness for the sins you have done and the sins you are yet to do. Proving that even as a prophet, he continued to sin.
Wow.
Proving that even Muhammad was sinful, according to the Quran. They've got to argue with the Quran if they want to say he did any otherwise. But Jesus, according to Surah 19, Ayah 19, never sinned. So now let me ask you now, Rommel, you've heard now 7 things where Jesus is superior to Muhammad. In every category, Jesus is superior in his birth. He's superior in his infancy. He's superior when it comes to healing, when it comes to giving sight. He's superior when comparing to resuscitating dead and creating out of nothing. And he's superior in the fact that he is the only holy, sinless one. That's just with the Quran I'm using. Just with 4 verses, we've been able to prove that. But that's still not good enough.
Why? How can that be not good enough?
Because this Quran then spends the rest of its time denigrating his divinity.
Okay.
Because if he's all these things, what does that say about Jesus? Who can be righteous except God himself? Who can heal and give sight and basically just say with his own words, be, and then it becomes a bird. Now it says in the Quran, with Allah's power. And that's where I confront the Quran. Because the Bible is very clear. And this is where you need to come back to the Bible. That's why I won't stay with the Quran. That just shows me that Jesus is superior to Muhammad in the Quran. Absolutely. And I've never seen a Muslim that can show me other. They don't know what to do with those verses. They don't know what to do with Jesus. Because in every category that's important, he is superior to Muhammad. Proving that he is really the greatest prophet. But it still doesn't go far enough. You've got to come back to the Bible. Because the Bible is very clear that over and over again he claims divinity. Over and over again he claims worship. Over and over again he uses the 4 divine claims. The 4 divine claims. And we can go into that later on when the question comes up, where does Jesus ever say, I am God? We'll go into that at another talk. But that's why you need to come back to see the real claim for Jesus, and that is he is God himself. Thank God that we can say that.
That's right.
Thank God I don't have to go to this book to follow a man named Muhammad. Because even this book is very clear that Jesus is greater than Muhammad. Terrific stuff. See what happens when Muslims try to not only hear this, but how they respond to that.